Welcome back to another video. I'm Justyna, and today we are diving deep into the intriguing energy of Saturn retrograde starting on June the 29th. Saturn, the planet of karma, discipline, structure, is going retrograde. What does it mean for us collectively and personally? How will it influence our lives, decisions, and paths? Stay with me as we explore the lessons Saturn retrograde brings, how to navigate its challenges, and harness its powerful energies for growth and transformation. On June the 29th, the planet Saturn will begin its retrograde motion and continue in this state until November the 15th. Saturn is known in astrology for its association with discipline, responsibility, limitations, structure. Now, Saturn challenges us to face our fears, take on responsibilities, and establish boundaries. Now, the position of Saturn in our birth chart can give really valuable insights into these themes and the areas of lives where we may face obstacles or perhaps experience growth through hard work and patience. Now, here during Saturn's transit of a specific area of our chart, we are often called to restructure and put in disciplined effort. And this can bring challenges and responsibilities, truly encouraging us to reassess our long-term goals, our commitments. Here, it requires patience, it requires perseverance, but ultimately, it leads to growth and maturity. Now, here, when Saturn turns retrograde, the focus shifts to internalization. This period will most likely prompt us to review established structures, goals, reevaluate our approach to limitations. It also encourages us to confront our fears, our insecurities, offering this amazing opportunity for personal growth, for deeper understanding of our ambitions, our limitations, and generally also emotional issues may resurface. We may be prompted to confront spiritual or perhaps psychological wounds. Generally, it's a time for introspection, self-reflection, as we reconsider our boundaries in our lives, responsibilities, long-term plans, goals. Now, on a collective level, this period may bring a sense of heaviness or perhaps restriction, but it also offers the chance to build inner strength, inner resilience. Now, on a practical level, expect delays, slow progress, especially when it comes to administrative matters or bureaucratic matters during this time. Now, during this time, we might see also the government revisiting, revising policies, certain regulations, addressing hidden societal issues as well. So here, let's see what this retrograde brings for us on a deeper level. I will look at each rising sign. I follow Western astrology, tropical zodiac. So here we go, and let's begin. All right, so hello Aries, and welcome to your horoscope for the upcoming Saturn retrograde in Pisces, starting on the 29th of June until the 15th of November. This is your 12th house, as you can see, and Neptune is still here at 29 degrees. So I'm really curious, are you feeling that Neptunian energy connected to that mystical energy? Are you feeling more connected to spirituality, more interested in spiritual matters, for example? Are you currently going through your spiritual awakening, for instance, or perhaps are you confused about your direction, life direction? Because these are the energies that could be resonating in your life, especially if you have any early placements or your ascendant in the early degree of Aries. Now, that confusion, delusion usually comes with the squares of positions. Saturn retrograde in your 12th house. So first of all, what does the 12th house represent? The 12th house represents our hidden aspect of our life, our subconscious mind as well. Anything to do with spirituality, spiritual life, and our dreams, our addictions, phobias, fears. Saturn in the 12th house overall can lead to solitude. I remember I had this transit when I was pregnant with my first child, and it was a very lonely time, but the time that I needed to let go of the past, because with Saturn in the 12th house, very often we remember the mistakes we committed throughout our life. There's guilt that might be present as well. especially with the retrograde phase of Saturn. So overall here with the 12th house retrograde of Saturn, this is a time when, first of all, you will be reviewing your obligations, responsibilities, your objectives, past achievements. Now, you might also go through a phase of withdrawal, contemplation, reevaluation, solitude, because of your life circumstances, because you want it, because you need it. And overall, this is when you might be also perhaps tying up loose ends, or perhaps finishing up long-term projects that maybe have outlived their purpose. So I think there will be a lot of letting go. Remember, you are preparing for this huge, huge cycle, which flavor you will experience or taste next year when Saturn enters Aries for just a little while next year. It's a huge deal because Saturn moving into your first house, into Aries, is starting a brand new cycle. So I think that these final couple of years of Saturn in your first and 12th house, yes, this is generally about completing and tying up those loose ends as you prepare for this huge, huge new phase to begin in your life. Now, here Saturn's stationary motion. So as Saturn stations retrograde, it can feel a little heavy. You might be sensing that you're changing your direction, or perhaps there's a need or the time has come to change your direction. But here it's basically you will have to gradually adapt to the shift of energy. Because generally this is a period of a major review, life review. And it's a great time for really looking closer, deeper at anything that affects your mental health, at your fears. Perhaps this is a time to face your fears in order to move away from any limiting energies. And perhaps you'll be also returning to some old projects as well during this time. It could feel really, really rewarding. Now, at the same time, Saturn rules over your 10th house. So Saturn could slow down your progress on the one hand. However, perhaps this is when you will be also returning to any projects that you perhaps started this year connected to your professional growth, development. So this is a great opportunity to go back into anything that perhaps you didn't have a chance to complete. All right, so thank you very much, Aries. Now let's have a look at the next sign, and that's Taurus. So hello, Taurus, and welcome. Saturn retrograde will be in your 11th house. So here, I know that Saturn in the 11th house can generally make us lose friends, feel like our social circle can shrink. It can shrink, especially in the initial phase of this transit. Maybe it's not the case this year anymore, but I heard many Taurus rising individuals their experiences about Saturn in the 11th house is that their social circle shrank, especially since the beginning of this transit. But at the same time, here you become realistic, practical about your friendships. But at the same time, here, Saturn can help you see things as they are. There is no confusion, there is no, and that cloudiness that Neptune could have brought over the last few years. Overall, Saturn retrograde, yes, so that's your 11th house transit, but at the same time, Saturn rules over your 9th house. So what does it mean is that you will be reviewing your direction, your purpose, as well, your purpose in your life. If you are not satisfied with where you're heading in your life or with your life, then here, this is a chance to slow down and take a closer look at your objectives, your life principles as well. Now, at the same time, Saturn retrograde in your 11th house suggests a shift in mindset, especially related to your friendships, networking, and also your long-term goals and plans. It's not just friendships and groups. This is the area of luck, hopes, dreams, good fortune. So this is generally a time when you might be reviewing your career, your life path, your objectives for the future. So overall, it's really important that you realize that you have enough time to resolve your problems. And because this is a pretty long retrograde until the 15th of November, Saturn doesn't like to rush. Saturn can really slow things down and give us plenty of time to figure things out. That's Saturn. But at the same time, if you take it easy without rushing, then you can actually come up with much fruitful and better ideas overall. So yes, so at the same time, yes, we could be restructuring your social circle, your goals, dreams, hopes for the future. And at the same time, you might be returning to some old goals, objectives, hopes as well, projects that you didn't have a chance to finish complete in the past. All right, so I think that's it. Thank you very much. Now let's have a look at Geminis. Hello, Geminis, and welcome. So here we've got a retrograde of Saturn happening in your 10th house. It's a really interesting transit overall in your career section. Very often, generally Saturn is a karmic planet, so we just we get what we put in. Let's put it this way. So whatever work effort you have invested in your career, outside world sphere, this is what you get. It's generally a payback during this transit. If you didn't invest much effort or work, then Saturn will reward you accordingly. But also, if this is this could be also about some strong realizations, making you think or realize what mistakes you committed. And if you don't see that you are experiencing growth and recognition, then Saturn retrograde will help you to realize why. Why is that? Why you're not moving forward? Why life is so stagnant? And on the other hand, with Saturn retrograde, for other individuals who work hard consistently, then Saturn retrograde could also help you to achieve some objectives, career-related objectives that perhaps you didn't, something that perhaps is overdue might suddenly come up. Overall, here with Saturn retrograde, you become more status conscious. So if you're single, for example, or perhaps if you've been engaged for too long, then perhaps you'll be more aware of these energies, and perhaps you'll be thinking, oh, when maybe it's time to make it formal. Maybe it's time to seek more serious commitment if you're still single. If you're, for example, you've been dating for too long, then here Saturn might stimulate you, might make you more aware, more conscious of your life, of your status. Now, at the same time, you might also experience a much stronger sense of responsibility to your career, to your objectives, to your goal aspirations. And for some, this would also mean that you will want to establish a sense of principle in your career area, in your public image. Now, as I said earlier, something delayed, something that was on hold may come back during this retrograde phase. Generally, Saturn retrograde in the 10th house can bring a period also of introspection, withdrawal. This is when you will be reviewing your career goals, objectives, public image, a sense of responsibility as well. Now, during this time, you might feel a need to establish a stronger position in your career professional world. And anything that was delayed, then, or perhaps anything that you didn't complete in the past connected to your career, goals, objectives, you might now have a chance to return to it. And perhaps there's a need to readjust something in your career. Now is a chance for doing so as well. Now pay attention with any investment you'll be making. Saturn is retrograde, the ruler of your 8th house. So perhaps it could be a good time for returning to projects from the past rather than initiate something brand new. Thank you very much, Geminis. Now let's see Cancers. Cancers, welcome. That's your 9th house activated. Saturn also rules over your 7th house. So perhaps I think this could be related to contracts, work-related, professional related contracts, or perhaps contracts you have with other people, commitments. I think you will be reviewing these. And I think it's a big chance that you will be, because you've got 2 full months here in Capricorn. So clearly, there's a strong emphasis upon your relationships at the moment and in the upcoming months as well. Right, so Saturn retrograde in your 9th house. So this is the area of foreign travel, life direction, and higher education. So during this time, you may doubt yourself, perhaps look further, deeper to understand your life direction, your life mission. Saturn could bring a certain degree of confusion, especially since Neptune is about to station retrograde as well. And if you feel like you're not sure where you're heading with your life, then during this time when Saturn is retrograde, this is a great time for conducting a research, especially through spiritual astrology, for example, or some psychological tests. Perhaps you'll be attending webinars. There is a need that you might experience for growth, expansion in the intellectual sense. Now, for some, this could also mean that you'll be going through your spiritual journey, a journey of spiritual awakening as well. Overall, with Saturn retrograde in your 9th house, this cycle can generally encourage you to slow down, to consider your more extensive plans and goals for the future. This isn't just about, what's around you, about that mundane reality. This is about looking slightly deeper and further into your life, into your goals. You might experience a shift in your outlook on your responsibilities, duties. And this could also mean that perhaps your plans or perhaps your projects may slow down. It's a good time for returning to projects from the past, some you didn't complete, didn't finish in the past. So at the same time, you might be questioning your commitment to some of your duties, responsibilities. Perhaps this is because your motivation levels could shift, could change. Perhaps this is also about you undertaking more of a realistic assessment of your time, of your energy. So overall, this retrograde is great for working on projects, goals, ideas that were initiated, started in the very recent past. This is about simplifying your life. You don't have to complicate it. Saturn is not about complex energies. It's about practical energies, realistic as well, down to earth, grounded. So this retrograde could really help you to bring more structure to your goals and to stabilize your efforts to produce the best results at this time. All right, so thank you very much. And let's have a look at Leo's. Leo's welcome. Saturn retrograde will be in your 8th house. Now, the 8th house deals with other people's values, resources, shared resources, possessions, intimate life. So here with Saturn retrograde in your 8th house, you've got this amazing opportunity to redefine and release outdated values, which perhaps were not truly yours, and transform them into something better, something that truly aligns with your persona. Now, Saturn's retrograde motion can initially encourage you to slow down and think about your priorities. What truly matters at this point in your life? Think carefully. Now, here, Saturn retrograde really stimulates a strong period of a review, life review. Now, the week of its stationary motion, so I would say the week starting the 1st of July, could feel slightly heavy for some Leos. It could feel like your responsibilities increase, and generally you might feel slightly exhausted. Now, during this retrograde, you might have to, or you might need to reassess how much time and energy you can afford to invest in the area of now, with Saturn retrograde here, you might be reassessing, reviewing the structures in your life. This could be your partnerships, your shared and joint resources, your investments, your mortgage. But at the same time, this is also when you'll be reassessing how much time and energy you can afford to invest in the area of your close relationships, in the area of deep matters, in the area of investments. For example, perhaps you'll be restructuring the area of finances during this time. It's all about simplifying your life. It's all about stabilizing your life as well. Now, at the same time, Saturn rules over your sixth house, so perhaps you need more stability, more structure in your daily life. If you feel like there has been too much chaos or if you've been too disorganized, Saturn retrograde can help you to look closer and deeper at what needs your attention, at perhaps maybe you need to move away from certain habits, routines, or perhaps restructure something in your daily routine in order to simplify your life. All right, so let's have a look at Virgos. Virgos, welcome. So here, this retrograde will be in your seventh house. The seventh house deals with one-to-one connections, relationships, marriage, partnerships, contracts we have with other people, commitments we have with other people. So this retrograde could feel slightly heavy in the initial phase. You might feel slightly disoriented. So it's best to take the time to think about your priorities, especially related to your partnerships, relationships, connections you have with other people, people who are significant in your life. So generally during this retrograde, you might be changing your perspective about your commitments, responsibilities you have towards other people. Now, the key to working with these energies, with this retrograde to your advantage, is to remind yourself of the work you need to do to bring more stability in your relationships, bring more structure as well. And this is about connecting with a purpose. This is about, I think that if you experience instability in this area of life, because this Saturn also rules over your fifth house, if there haven't been stability in your area of parenting, in your romantic area of life, if generally you distance yourself from some people in your life, or perhaps you want to, generally this retrograde is really, really prompting you to take a realistic look at your commitment to your relationships. I think this is also when you might go through a shift in your mindset, and you might realize who belongs in your reality and who doesn't. And this could be a time when you might actually realize that some people in your life have a negative influence upon your life. Perhaps you'll be distancing yourself from them. Perhaps you will be reconnecting with those with whom you lost touch. So a great time for taking a closer look at your important connections in your life. If you want to reconcile with someone that you lost touch with, this is an opportunity for doing so. On the other hand, you feel like there is someone who doesn't belong in your reality, they have a negative influence upon your life, then this relationship might actually break during this retrograde phase. It's all about being realistic, grounded, but at the same time, you have a chance to restructure the area of your immediate connections, which connections truly matters. All right, so now let's have a look at Libras. Libras, welcome. This retrograde will be in your sixth house, and also the fourth house is activated because Saturn rules over your fourth house. So what it means is that here Saturn transiting your sixth house, stationing retrograde. Generally, this retrograde suggests the need to watch for any errors you might commit or have committed in the recent past. Here, Saturn gives you this very practical, grounded approach to your daily routine. Here, you have an opportunity to bring more structure to your work sphere, to your daily routine. If Saturn has brought tons of responsibilities and duties into your life. And perhaps if you found it difficult to manage your time and workload effectively, Saturn retrograde will slow things down, but at the same time, you have a chance to restructure your daily routine, your workload. Maybe it's time to let go of duties, responsibilities that perhaps outlived its purpose. Maybe it's time to restructure your daily life, to bring more stability, to bring more structure as well. So here with Saturn retrograde, generally here you might experience a shift of energy when it comes to your routine, work, health, work life, of your home sphere as well. Maybe it's time to also think about what truly matters in the family dynamics. Maybe it's time for decluttering, for implementing healthy changes to bring more structure in your family dynamics, more stability as well. But at the same time, I think this is also when you might experience delays. It might be more difficult to motivate your self, especially when it comes to something brand new. With the retrograde phase of Saturn, it's easier to work with energies, projects that have already been established, that started in the past. Anything brand new, it will be difficult. So it's a good time for restructuring your routine, for taking a closer look at your work and home balance. If you dedicated too much energy and time towards work and daily responsibilities, and perhaps you neglected your home and family dynamics. So here, this is an opportunity for finding a healthy balance, for restructuring your daily routine to bring more stability to your life. Thank you very much, and let's have a look at the next sign. Hello, Scorpios, and welcome. Right, so we've got Saturn retrograde in your 5th house. Saturn also rules over your 3rd house. All right, so first of all, during this retrograde phase, you might have a really strong urge to overcome any kind of challenges, blockages connected to self-expression. If you feel like you struggle to be your authentic self because you constantly want to please others, or perhaps you want to make everyone happy, but you forget about your own happiness, or perhaps you're afraid to be your true and authentic self because you're afraid of someone criticizing you, someone saying the wrong thing. This retrograde is here to help you to overcome these negative energies, negative self-talk, or perhaps some deeply rooted beliefs that perhaps you didn't really have a chance to truly face and overcome. Now, at the same time, it's a great time for returning to old projects, ideas, goals, hobbies, interests. Anything brand new will require a lot of effort. And when I say a lot of effort, even talking about this, Saturn is heavy energy. So try to stick to the familiar if you can. Anything new will require good planning, structure, discipline, effectiveness. Now, at the same time, you might also feel like you might have this feeling that you should do more in your life, or perhaps there's a greater calling, and what you're doing now is not enough. So generally, also your perspective of romance, love, family, creativity is likely to undergo a shift of energy. And generally, this retrograde cycle is really suitable for reevaluating or perhaps for rebuilding the key areas of your life, for rebuilding the area of self-expression, self-confidence, communication as well. If you struggle with self-expression, of communicating effectively, confidently, then here Saturn retrograde will help you to at least take a step forward. I'm not saying it's all going to be fixed in one go, in one retrograde, but every time Saturn is retrograde, there is a chance for you to improve yourself, for self-improvement, for self-development, self-growth. So as you familiarize yourself with these energies, because usually the initial phase of any transit, any retrograde is the most difficult. And also the very end as well, when Saturn is, well, any planet stations direct. But here, as you familiarize yourself with these energies, it will be easier to overcome any fears or any difficult thoughts you may have. Now, at the same time, you might return to a previous project, or perhaps you might approach it in a new way. Now, as I said, brand new projects may not take off as quickly as you would have hoped. So don't get discouraged. It just takes time and effort. If you really want to launch something, you can't stop leaving just because Saturn is retrograde, but just bear in mind that it might take some time to take off. But overall, it's all about simplifying your life. And I think it's about being your true and authentic self. And I think this retrograde can really help you to face your fears, especially the ones connected to being your authentic self, or communicating openly, effectively, authentically, confidently. This is a chance for at least taking a step forward into a much brighter future. Thank you very much, and let's have a look at the next sign. Sagittarius, welcome. This retrograde will be in your fourth house and will also activate your second house. So here, your finances are activated, personal values, but at the same time, your area of home and family dynamics. So first of all, you might be generally returning to projects that you didn't have a chance to complete in the past. They might finally move forward. There could be this forward momentum. If you've been trying to renovate your kitchen or whatever it is, and things have been moving slowly, you couldn't find the right specialist to help you to finish this project during Saturn retrograde, it's a great time for this forward momentum. It could be finally the time when it happens. But at the same time here, Saturn retrograde could definitely make you rethink your financial situation, reevaluate, take a closer look at your outgoings as well. Now here, with Saturn retrograde in your fourth house, you've got this great opportunity for reassessing your commitments, your responsibilities at your home. And generally, home and family matters may need some redoing, or perhaps you might experience delays, especially when it comes to something brand new. It might take some time to take off. So if you have to, you have to. You can't stop living because Saturn is retrograde, but just bear in mind that things just take quite a bit of time, and they need more structure, more effort while Saturn is retrograde. But overall here, I think you might be re-examining your home situation, your relationship with family members. If you're not satisfied with your home, then perhaps Saturn retrograde could make you think deeper about where is it that you belong. Generally, it's a time to examine your intentions, your expectations as well. But at the same time, aim to simplify and work on projects already underway so that you can catch your breath. But I think this is a time generally to re-examine, review your home situation, bring more structure and stability. If you've been moving around, if life is out of balance at home, emotional life, Saturn retrograde will slow things down, make you think deeper about what brings you happiness in this area of life. What are you seeking? How can you establish more stability and structure in this area of life to reach perhaps more fulfillment? Thank you very much. And now Capricorns. So here, Capricorns, for you, any Saturn retrograde is a big deal. Of course, it's your ruler. Right. So first of all, here, an opportunity for, because it's happening in your third house, communication, of course, it's highlighted self-expression. So this is generally a period, this retrogrades, for reviewing and reassessing your projects, commitments, obligations in your life. Now, Saturn is transiting, or has been transiting now for quite some time, your area of communication and transportation. Saturn also rules over your area of the self. So overall, you might experience a certain degree of delays, especially in the initial phase of this retrograde. related related to your personal goals, objectives, anything to do with paperwork, communication. Now, you might also return to some unfinished projects, and it's a great time for returning to old projects or something you didn't get a chance to complete in the past, rather than taking on a new one. Because overall, if you return to something that you have started in the past during this retrograde phase, this is likely to bring more success, more fulfillment. Anything brand new will take some time to truly take off. So here, this retrograde is all about simplifying your life. It's about bringing more structure to your life as well. And here you've got this amazing opportunity for reconnecting with your purpose. It's about finding more meaning in your life as well. It's about getting back on track. So overall here with Saturn retrograde, I think for some Capricorns, this could be about returning also to some paperwork, tests. It's a good retrograde for rewriting an exam. But at the same time, I think you will be also reviewing your objectives, goals, personal goals for the future, career-related goals as well. So overall, a really important retrograde that truly allows you to think deeper about your personal goals and personal objectives as well for the future. Do you think that they truly align with where you're heading in your life, with your persona, with the present life, with your persona, or whether something needs to change? And if so, then what? All right, so now let's have a look at Aquarius. Okay, so Aquarius, this is happening in your second house, and here Saturn retrograde in your second house. This is a time when you will be reviewing your obligations, your responsibilities, financial obligations especially, and perhaps you'll be reconsidering your plans, goals, and dreams for the future as well to a certain extent. Now, there could be a certain degree or some level of withdrawal that you could experience, especially since Saturn rules over your 12th house as well. But take it as an opportunity to look deeper at your past achievements and see whether you're heading in the right direction. Now, the most important phase of any retrograde phase is when a planet stations retrograde and direct. And during the week following this retrograde motion of Saturn, financial matters might be pretty heavy for some. So here with this retrograde phase of Saturn, it's all about sorting things out, becoming more organized, and this is connected to your financial area of life, of course. So overall, the cycle of Saturn retrograde in Pisces in your second house is fantastic for reviewing your commitments, your responsibilities, mainly related to your finances, to your to business, if you have your own business, to your sense of security, self-worth, your natural talents, your resources, your comfort levels as well. There could be delays related to some of these aspects of life, things, or perhaps a temporary pulling back from specific projects, for instance, until you come to new conclusions. So these shouldn't be rushed at all, because your perspective of reality is undergoing this major shift. So generally, it's a better period, a better time for reviewing and reflecting than for starting something brand new, especially in matters related to money. So here, this retrograde is great for bringing more stability, more structure, finding ways that will help you to bring more structure, more stability into your financial sector. At the same time, I think for some Aquarius risings could be also about some opportunities that some overdue financial opportunities that could be now coming to light, especially since during this retrograde phase, there will be a lunar eclipse in the second house of Pisces. So I think there could be some financial opportunities coming your way. I think something overdue could be very much the case around September. Thank you very much. Now, Pisces, welcome. This retrograde is happening in your first house, and this is the time when you will be taking a closer look at your objectives, goals, personal, professional, of course. And Saturn's retrograde motion, it's generally a time of a review, a major review of the self. Now, suppose you feel disconnected from the purpose, your life purpose of generally disconnected from reality, or perhaps if you feel like you're not in alignment with where you're heading with your life, with your profession, for example, with your work, or perhaps if you feel disconnected from the purpose of the duties, responsibilities brought on by this Saturn transit in your first house. In that case, this retrograde can really effectively magnify the heaviness, or perhaps the weight of this transit. And now here your perception of your responsibilities, duties can change, can undergo this major shift. It's important that you remember that the purpose of this retrograde is for you to learn to rely on yourself and to get your life in order. So if you feel like there isn't enough structure in your life, if there's enough stability here, this retrograde is here to help you. With Saturn, the first house Saturn, it's about being independent, self-reliant. It's not easy to get support from other people when Saturn is in your first house. Here, you need to rely on yourself. And if you find it difficult because maybe throughout your life you've been used to receiving support from others, but now since Saturn entered your first house, it's all you, and you. Now, this retrograde can really help you to look deeper at your responsibilities, duties, at your weaknesses, and maybe this is about finding solutions that could help you to bring more structure, independence, stability, happiness into your life. Because with Saturn here, even though, especially in the initial phase of this retrograde, the energies might feel heavier, this is a time when you'll be realizing what mistakes you have committed in the recent past that perhaps contributed to you not achieving a certain goal or objectives. I think Saturn retrograde in the first house, it's connected to having these strong self-realizations of your own limitations. Maybe this is a chance to face your fears, face any limiting beliefs you may have that are stopping you from achieving your purpose, achieving your goals. Now, at the same time, Saturn rules over your 11th house. So this is also about becoming realistic about your social circle, people that you let into your life. Maybe you'll be reconnecting with someone you lost touch with, someone that you truly care about, but things maybe didn't work out, or perhaps you had some kind of argument, but you truly care about this person. Now is a chance to reconnect, reconcile, and perhaps bring more structure to this connection. But at the same time, here with this retrograde, you might realize that some people don't belong in your reality. And maybe it's time to move away, shift away. Thank you very much, Pisces.